Greetings, Spencer. So today we're going to do our review and go through the Castille economy rapiers. We have two of them, and this is going to be a little bit more of a complicated review. It'll have sort of multiple steps to it, and multiple pieces to it. So the first thing we'll do is, go through the specs, durability, and then we'll go through the feeling and kind of what it represents, what it's like, and then we'll go through kind of the situations or people that would actually want to get this product, because it's not just for anyone. There are situations where you definitely wouldn't want this, and there are some situations where this can be very useful. So starting off, first thing I just need to sort of get out there is, this is made to be a bad sword. It's made to be cheaply made, but still be safe. So it's not like a cheaper Hanwei or Cold Steel that snap all the time. You can tell that it's good steel and it's handcrafted kind of thing, but it's made to just be cheaply as possible and bring down the cost as much as possible. This isn't a representation of Castille's work. They make excellent things, and definitely go and buy from them, especially for their high quality weapons. Their saber is my favorite saber. So starting out, it is a pretty short rapier, so it's definitely gonna be outmatched by pretty much most of the other rapiers that people will be getting, and you will have to work to close distance if you're using this against another large rapier. It doesn't come with a rolled tip, but it's really easy to just buy the blunts when you buy them, so it's not really a big deal. You should be having a blunt on pretty much every rapier. The edge is quite thick, which I like, so the edge is reasonably thick, but it is a very thin blade. Very thin. It's a diamond cross section, so it actually gets reasonably thick all the way down, just so it doesn't impact as hard, and is okay for what it's trying to do. And they decided to make sure there's no weak point. It's just a straight taper for the ricasso. It uses a clamshell design. This is where I think both of them are actually dented in. So this one's dented in a little bit one way. Our other one is dented in significantly more. This one actually, our glove will, just fit inside. It dented in sort of to the level of the glove. A red dragon will fit in this, and we've stuck a coning in it as well. So lots of gloves will fit in it, which is good. They've made it fit lots of gloves. You can see here the cross guard at some point got hit and somehow bent upwards. Don't really know how that would have happened. And both of them, the knuckle bow has been bent in all the way to the pommel. So this one actually rings when it gets hit, because you can see all the dents along the pommel. Let's see if that'll from where the knuckle bow hits it. So yeah, it's been really beat up. We've had them for about 2 years, but we don't do a ton of rapiers, so they're not overused. Both of the blades do have bends in them. This one's not quite as defined, but definitely there, and this one has quite a large bend in it. So they definitely have gotten bent up multiple directions in time, which is a lot more common with rapiers. And yeah, flexes pretty much in on itself. The edge retention though is essentially perfect because they're such thick edges, because it's it's almost closer to like more of a cylinder of a blade. So the edge is really good, and there's no spots with any slivers or anything. You could run your hand up and down it and nothing will happen. We've never cleaned them or anything, and they're just not being cut at as much. And the pommel, at least on one of them, has gotten loose, and we'll sometimes have to tighten it in sparring because it's just a one screw on, so you can easily take it off and loosen it. Made to be fast and easiest as possible. It comes with a wooden handle. I eventually put tape on that. We had one Castille economy weapon to actually break at the wood, so I just didn't want that to happen and add a bit more shock absorption, because because your fingers are up here, you don't need grip that much. Your hand's not going to slide out. And so now moving on to what do they feel like. Well, first thing I just want to mention, rapier is such a convoluted term and very wide term. You can find many sources that people will define as, you know, that longer, thinner rapier that's designed for thrusting, and they'll just call it a sword. And then you'll find other weapons that are very broad blades and more choppy, and will cut, and they'll call them a rapier. So what happens now is we generally call the cutting version side swords and the longer, thinner versions rapiers. You'll often hear them all called rapiers at points though. And you'll hear the term rapiers can cut or rapiers can't cut. Well, it just depends on the sword. Just like how there's all different types of long swords, that some are designed more for in-armor thrusting. If this was a sharp weapon, would I say, can this rapier cut? I would say no, it would not cut. Unless the person's naked, it's not going to do anything. If I was just wearing this hoodie that's reasonably thick, it's not going to cut through it. At least not giving me any more than a superficial wound. Now, if it hits me in the face, or maybe if it hits me directly in the wrist, that might make it quite disabling. But it's such a thin rapier, and it's so light. It's 1.8 pounds, and so it's way under what a rapier should be weighing. It should be closer to 2.5 pounds, and so there's really not much weight. It's not going to go through stuff. And what this leads is that you can do stuff with this that you can't do with most rapiers. And so that's the big thing. It doesn't really represent most rapier, at least the rapiers that we were wanting it to represent. You could do movements with it that you definitely cannot do with other rapiers. Our first time using heavy, full-weighted rapiers from other companies, night and day difference. All of a sudden, cuts would drag us down. We couldn't just cut. These you can essentially just use like a saber and you'll be fine. I'll definitely put video footage of me just making cuts really fast, and they'll be with enough rotation that the person would call it a hit, but in reality it would not do much to them. Eventually with these we just called, if it's a cut, only to the face and lower arm would we ever count a cut. We just wouldn't count a cut anywhere else. So if you were making cuts and hitting the torso, it wouldn't do anything. So yeah, just stopped calling it. Because if this was a rapier that could cut, you would not be able to make those cuts as easily, and those openings wouldn't actually be real openings because it would take you way too long to get there. And so the person would have time to block it. And so it's sort of cheating your way into thinking you can do techniques that you wouldn't be able to do. So now with sort of that bit of a rant out of the way, why would you want a rapier like this? Well, if you just go to a club and a bunch of people already have, nice $300 to $500 rapiers, you wouldn't really want to just save your money and buy one of these. You'd go out and buy one of Castille's nice rapiers, full weight and full length rapiers, or any other company, Regnier, Cavaden, etc. But the reason we got these was I generally have small amount of sparring partners, so I have to buy 2 of everything. So I wanted to try rapier. So where can I buy 2 rapiers? Because one is not going to do anything. I'll just be swinging it around on my own. So I got 2 of these so we could actually try it for about a year, and then we eventually jumped up another level to more representative rapiers that are also more expensive. So if you're at that level where you kind of want to be able to try rapier and you need to get 2, or you and a friend, you don't really know how much you're into it, so you decide to, you both get economy rapiers. That way you can at least practice and dabble in it, find out if you like it, before you dive in and spend $1,000 combined to get 2 full weight rapiers. That's sort of a situation if you're just wanting to try rapier, and generally you want to use this against another economy rapier. You don't really want to use this against other ones. You want it to be even, because otherwise you'll just be able to cut so fast and just lightly hit them the whole time, or they'll just be outranging you, and all their hits will hit with significantly more force. And this idea sort of goes with what looks like multiple of their economy weapons, just looking at the specs and the blade profiles and the weights, kind of thing. You know, with their arming swords as well, it can sort of go with that. Where in general, if you're going to go with economy weapons from Castille, I would recommend getting pairs, and you're in that purpose of wanting to buy them just to try it out. But if you're on your own in a group and you only have to buy one rapier, I mean, just save up more money and get something that's more representative, that's well past the £2 mark, that's going to represent the historical weapon more than these. So these do have their place in HEMA, but they're not like a cheat your way through where, oh, I don't have to spend as much money to get a quality rapier. No, you will. These won't be the rapiers you stop at. You will have to go up another level. So it's if you think you're invested in rapier, just go up another level, and you can get full Castille rapiers instead of their economy versions. Thanks for watching. Keep studying. Keep practicing. The Castille economy rapiers. So